That don't matter. Alrighty. Hey, everybody. I read this book. Yeah, okay, that I'm sure that catches in the light. By good old Johnny Steinbeck. According to this book, he is one of America's greatest living authors. So, yeah. This is a Bantam Pathfinder edition from '66. Essentially, like if you liked Stoner at all, you're gonna like this book. It's a Bildungsroman, I think that's how you say that. It's about this kid lives on a farm in NorCal in the 1930s. You know, he's like a kid, right? And kids have like dreams and stuff they want to do. And this book is all about that moment where reality strikes. Like you get what you want, but you realize it's not what you wanted. It's how you wanted it. You wanted it to go a certain way. You didn't want the thing.
I will have you.
Have me? What's the matter?
No, not like this.
That's the spoiler. That's what the entire book is about. But anyway, Jody's a kid and he lives on a ranch in NorCal with his mama and Carl, his father, but Carl, and Billy Buck, who's the ranch hand. Good reputation throughout the county and stuff. He's like the nice older man, you know. His father is just there to discipline him and be tough. And his mom is pretty much there to cook breakfast. Okay, so I gave it 4 stars for this reason. There's 4 chapters, right? When I was on the 3rd chapter, I started to get that feeling of just really enjoying what the picture of this book is. On a ranch in the American Southwest, I can smell the sage bush. And also, like, the way that he draws his characters, he doesn't add any judgment on the characters, what they do. These, you know, oh boy, unlikable character traits are simply part of these people. By the time I got to the 3rd chapter, I felt like I understood the family dynamic enough to be at ease with their little jokes, their little moments of levity in that life of hard work. It all made sense at that point. A very nice, full picture with ups and downs, with human frailty and human power. But also, it's very simple. There's not a lot of flashy wordplay, but also it's not as hypnotic as Stoner was. You don't see inside these people, you see how they behave, which is different from Stoner, I think, at least in terms of the character William Stoner. Okay, I'll give you a little spoiler here, you know, so go over here if you want to not hear any of this stuff, but these are just the things that happen in the book. Here we go. First off, the titular character doesn't last very long at all. The first chapter, the first little story is about a pony. Carl and Buck drive some cattle out of town to market, and while they're down there, there's like a police sheriff auction, and a show pony, a tiny little show pony was for auction. And so they're like, yeah, let's get it for the boy. Getting ready to handle some horses here on the ranch. Only one way to do it, you gotta raise one up. And he's super stoked about it. He's showing off to his friends. He's like, yeah, I got this colt. Yeah, the colt is free-spirited, it's nice, strong. It's kind of like a reflection of the boy. One day, the colt is almost big enough for the kids to ride, and everyone's gonna be gone. The boy to school, the folks to town. After all this training they did, they tie him up outside on the little big old roundabout where they train him to be cool with the rope and not fight being led. He's gonna be out there all day. The boy's scared about it raining. Billy is like, it ain't gonna rain. Don't worry about that. But lo and behold, it rains. So the kid is no longer just trusting Billy Buck on the strength anymore. He runs home and the colt is freaking shaking and super like cold, chilled down. And so the boy is freaking out. He takes him inside, tries to get him warm, yada yada. But the next day the colt has a cold and Buck's trying to nurse him to health, but he don't make it through. Eventually they shoot him, and it's a tough, pretty moving scene. Next chapter is like an old Mexican cat goes to their ranch because that land is where he was born. There's like a mud hut around there that's melted down because they stopped shoring it up with lime. But he's like, this is where I was born. I came all this way to die here. And they're like, we don't need another ranch hand. We can't afford you, essentially. There's like an old horse that is parallel to the old man. And Carl kind of plays like a game essentially. And the old man, Carl, kind of talks out the side of his neck a lot. So he's talking out the side of his neck to this cat about this old mare is too old. It's like a 30-year-old, but it was Carl's first horse, so he's not finna just let it go for no reason. The old man seems just all that just kind of rolls off of his back when he's like, oh, this horse is too old to do any work. I don't know if you ever been through that where people are like talking out the side of your neck at you, like trying to be cute.
Though he could have ignored the simple comment his mentor made, Vernon decided to keep it real.
The next day, the old man doesn't come to breakfast, but Buck saw an old guy ride out on an old horse. So, how about that? Yeah. He didn't take no guns, didn't take nothing else. He only took that horse. And they were like, well, I guess he did us a favor. Third chapter, they're like, let's give this horse thing another shot with the boy. And so they take an old mare that's in heat, pull it up to another guy who has a ranch and a stallion, gives him $5, you know, gigolo style. Mares take 11 months to gestate. After like 9 months, it starts to show suddenly. And the kid is like, oh crap, I'm getting a colt. But when it's time for the mare to give birth, it's all messed up. Like the colt's like in backwards, so like it can't give birth. So Billy Buck, he does that thing. No one's happy about that, but you got what you wanted, didn't you? And then the fourth story is about Mama's papa comes in kind of unannounced. Carl don't like this guy because he can't shut up about the time he was blood meridianing it across the nation. Like that's all he ever talks about is driving his wagon train across the West. He ain't done nothing since. So it's like, what are you talking about, old man? Carl is like complaining to his wife about it, and the old man like hears it like right before he enters the dinner, and it like kind of he toughs it out, but you can tell it really affects him, and he's like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be telling these old stories no more. He sits out in the freaking courtyard and he has this little conversation with Jody. He was saying that he doesn't really care about the story. He only knows how he wants people to behave when he tells it. Oh, he has this great quote about this. Let me say this real quick. I tell those old stories, but they're not what I want to tell. I only know how I want people to feel when I tell them. It wasn't Indians that were important, nor adventures, nor even getting out here. It was a whole bunch of people made into one big crawling beast, and I was the head. It was westering and westering. Every man wanted something for himself, but the big beast that was all of them wanted only westering. I was the leader, but if I hadn't been there, someone else would have been the head. The thing had to have a head. Under the little bushes, the shadows were black as white noonday. When we saw the mountains at last, we cried, all of us. But it wasn't getting here that mattered. It was movement and westering. We'd carry life out here and set it down the way those ants carry eggs, and I was the leader. The westering was as big as God, and the slow steps that made the movement piled up until the continent was crossed. We came down to the sea and it was done. He stopped and wiped his eyes until the rims were red. That's what I should be telling instead of stories. I said 4 stars, right? Yeah. We're kind of done. I don't even know why I say come to this part of the story, because I mean, I should stop doing that because I'm not saying nothing here. Especially today, I got nothing else to say. But yeah, I did like this book. I was told today East of Eden is like the jam. You know, that's the one you gotta read. So okay, sure, I'll do that at some point. Not at any foreseeable part of the future, but yeah, Kesmet, right? All right.